Welcome everybody to another edition of At Home with Robbie. Today we are working on lifting up this beam on the front porch of this old house. So this house was probably built at least 100 years ago. And that's far before they had engineered lumber to help carry a load. So this being a load-bearing beam out here, if you stand on that ladder and look down, it's sagging at least 3 or 4 inches. And that's because it doesn't have anything supported in the middle. It's just supported on the ends and its boards pieced together for 20-something feet. So what we're going to do is we're going to mix some concrete, put it in our Puerto Rican style forms. We're going to have some concrete here, and then on top of that we can put a structural post. Then we can jack up this beam or lower it down wherever it needs to go to have it nice and straight so that when we go to put our siding on there, everything looks like it was done on purpose.
And what I like, Robbie, is you went in a little bit interior, so you didn't come all the way to the edge to try to build the form. You went inside, so it almost looked tiered as it's coming up to the column. Be a nice finished look when you pull those forms off.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's easier to do it this way. You mix less concrete, and you don't need it to be this big.
Right. Yeah. And then you're mixing your concrete here. What kind of consistency are you looking for? You're getting pretty close there?
This right here is about the consistency you're going to want. On the bag it says how much to use, but I don't believe it. At Home with Robbie knows better.
Right.
So what you want to do is you want to put your water in there first. And then you want to dump the Sackcrete or whatever kind of pre-mixed concrete you use in there. And you need to start mixing. And as you mix it, you're going to be able to tell whether it's too stiff or it's too wet. And whatever you don't have enough of, you just put more of it in there.
You can't have any dry pieces in there, but it looks like you're getting it right now. It's kind of lumpy, but it's not watery. Is that about where you want it?
That's exactly what you want. You want it to be pretty consistent all the way through. Nice and mixed up. If it's too wet, it's harder to work with and it takes too long to dry, so for your finished troweling and all that. If it's too dry, you can't get it to lay flat. You'll have air pockets in there and it'll look broken and jagged on the top. Doesn't look good. So, step 2 of the process. After you've formed it and you get everything mixed, is actually putting it in there. So I told you we had the Puerto Rican style forms. And one of the advantages of doing it where it's braced off of something else without nailing it down is when we're done, there's no nail holes. It doesn't look like you beat the thing to pieces to get it done. So with the tray, you can place it wherever you'd like it. And I mix it right as close as I can to it and just shovel it in there. It doesn't hurt to get a little bit too much, because whatever excess you have, I can put right back in my tray.
And what you're talking about bracing is you actually put these 204s with pressure down.
Absolutely.
From
These
above.
204s are very tight off this beam.
And that's pushing down on the form so the form doesn't move.
The forms are not going to move. I'm not going to have holes all around it where I nail them down or nail braces down. Put your concrete in there, you work it in to make sure that your rock's settled and you get all your air bubbles out of there. After a little bit of time of working it, and then getting it level and troweling it on the top, you'll have a beautiful finished product. Alright, now we got the concrete poured in there. Once you pour it, poke your trowel in there, hit the sides of it with your hammer to make sure that all the aggregate settles to the bottom and that the form is totally full. After that, you take any straight edge. For something this small, we just use a 1x6 with a nice straight edge on it. Screed it back and forth, keep it even with the top of your form. After you've done that, then you can take a small finishing trowel. You want to tap it, wiggle it just a little bit, bring all the water up, and to get all those sediments down to the bottom so it doesn't have a chunky look to the top of it like your driveway probably does. And when you do that, you just want to get it nice and smooth and just let it sit for a while. And you come back and doctor it later. Back. So we've let this concrete cure for 3 days now inside these forms. It doesn't necessarily need 3 days, but at least overnight, so where it's hard enough that when you take the forms off, it's not going to still be running. So let it set up, let it get hard. I forgot to mention in our previous video, but before you put the concrete in the form, it's always a good idea to wet the form down with water. Make sure all that wood is wet so the concrete does not dry on the wood and pull chunks of wood off. It'll come off smooth. But now that it's cured and everything's ready to go, you can just take these forms off. always be sure to be careful and wear your safety equipment and whatnot.
And we've also still got the bracing up for the porch. So make sure that bracing is still in place if you're trying to span a column like we're doing today.
That bracing is still in place. So, one of the things that I like to do, especially on smaller forms, is to use screws. On a larger form, it becomes kind of a pain to run that many screws in, but on something small, it makes it very easy to get it back apart. So we've got all our screws back out after this one. And you tap on it to make sure that the concrete slips off of it. And they should be ready just to pull right back apart. There you go. So after y'all saw those lovely columns, those little pieces we did with our Puerto Rican forms, those were put there to hold up this huge beam going all the way across. So, in order to hold up something so big, you need a very strong column. Something strong like the delicious flavor of Whataburger 13 burger. So, as you can see behind me, we have this powder-coated metal column sitting on some very hard concrete. And this right here, being spaced evenly throughout, is going to keep this beam held up to hold up this beautiful project we've completed on the outside. Todd, why don't we go out here with Woody and look at it? Well, you can see this nasty shingled mess we had before, but whoa! Look at those beautiful green cedar shakes. Those are sage green. That's a style color right there for everybody to know and look at. So, if you like these videos, remember, like and share At Home with Robbie. You can see all our other stuff at AHwRobbie.com or through the Carolina Realty World webpage. Have a good evening.
I thought she was supposed to be watching.
Y'all said y'all was gonna help him, didn't you?